Hey everybody, it's Richie from Rocketar. Alright, in this lesson we're going to learn part 2 of Smoke on the Water. What a great rock and roll riff. Let's just review part 1 first of all before we get into part 2 because they're both a little similar, so I'll show you part 1 again. So remember, it was open string, then your first finger on that 3rd fret of open first string, and then your 3rd finger on the 5th fret of that open first string. Okay? So everything's all on one string. Keep in mind the whole song is all just going to be on this one G string. Okay? So this is how it went. Okay, so that was part 1. Now part 2 starts very much the same. It uses the first 2 notes from part 1 and repeats those. And then it does something a little bit different. Part 2 goes like this. There's 4 notes in total. This is how it would play out. I'll do it again, slow. Okay, so that's what it looks like in slow motion. All right. So as you can see, you use the first 2 notes from part 1 to start out part 2. And those 2 notes are your open first string, or G. Very nice. Then go ahead and put your first finger back on that right behind that 3rd fret of that G string, okay? And pluck that. Excellent. So those are the first 2 notes of part 2. Now we're going to learn the last 2 notes. And this is going to require you to do a little technique we call shifting. Shifting is when you move your hand either up or down the neck or to the left or right of the neck just a little bit so that way you can reach these notes a little bit easier. Bass is a really, really long necked instrument, just like a giraffe, of course. So long neck, so it's really hard to stretch and reach certain notes sometimes. So what you have to do is you have to move your hand just a little bit to either the right or the left. In this situation, we are going to be moving to the right or towards your body, like this. Okay? So what I want you to do is, basically, we started out with our thumb on the back of the 3rd fret, back of the neck 3rd fret. And what we're going to do is we're going to shift our hand so that way the thumb is right about on the back of the neck behind the 5th fret, like that. Okay? So we were here. Now we're going to shift our thumb over here. Okay? That's how it's going to work, right? So that way you're not stretching and reaching and using different parts of your hand to fret the bass, so you're going to get a very, very good tone like this. And this is a very, very good technique to learn now because you're going to be using a lot of it when you play a long neck instrument like the bass. So our next note, we're actually going to use our 3rd finger. And we're going to place that on the 6th fret, or basically behind the 6th fret, like so. Okay? So remember, my thumb is now behind where the 5th fret is, and my 3rd finger is holding down the 1st string right behind that 6th fret, just like this. Okay? So everybody give that a pluck. All right, nicely done. Okay. So that is our 3rd note. And now our last note is actually going to be played with our 2nd finger on our left hand. And that's going to go right on the 5th fret. Just behind that 5th fret, like this. Okay? All right, so everybody give that a pluck. All right. Very nice. So those are our 4 notes. So I'll repeat them very slowly for you. So we have open G. Here's your first note. Then we have first finger right behind that 3rd fret. Then we shift our hand, put our thumb right behind the 5th fret, and put our 3rd finger on that 6th fret. Pluck that. And then we take our 2nd finger, put that on the 5th fret. Okay, so there we go. So now let's do that in slow motion. Very slowly at first. You want to practice slow at first so that way you get everything down and your muscles become strong and remember exactly where to put your fingers, okay, before you start rushing around and being a rock star, all right? So here we go. It sounds like this. I'll do it again. Just like that. You got to feel that rhythm in there too, okay? So now we'll put part 1 and part 2 together for you, okay? So this is how this would sound, and I'll do it slowly for you. So here we go. I'm going to start out with part 1. All right. And keep in mind, we are still just plucking with our index finger. We're not using our middle finger yet. Just going to pluck with our index finger for now, okay? All right, well done. Well, practice putting part 1 and part 2 together. And when you get comfortable with that, hey, move on to part 3, which is coming up next, where we're going to learn how to wrap up this whole song, and then you're going to be able to play Smoke on the Water and rock out with your friends and jam and do some high fives and, hey, have a good old time. So, all right, my name is Richie from Rockatar, and I will see you in the next lesson.